All right, we're in it now. We are in the business and around the corner, opened up shop, get ready to drop, taking people out on top. I'm sorry.
Amazing.
Yes,
Amazing. This is what we're doing with our time right now.
exactly. This is how I have to start. It's late. I'm tired. I woke up from one of those naps before the Contender series started where you just have no idea what
Where you
planet
are,
you're
what time it
on.
is.
Exactly. So you can tell my voice is really monotone right now. I'm just super. Oh my god. So anyway, we had a pretty stellar Contender series this past just finished like 10 minutes ago. So this is pretty good. Um, really, we're just gonna go through real quick, talk about all the highlights, and then just kind of finish with general thoughts and what we consider probably the biggest point of the night. First and foremost, I've just got some pictures here after it ended. Obviously, you can find these on MMA Junkie. The place is a godsend to other news channels. But you had Collin Huckbody, fighting Kyron Bowen. The guy came in here with at least 4 arm triangles on his record prior. Going up against someone like Bowen, and really just within the first minute and 20 seconds was able to secure an arm triangle from the mount, which is pretty impressive.
Didn't waste any time, went straight for the takedown, crawled up the body, and got the arm triangle.
Yeah, as you
Didn't
can
care,
see,
was there to finish.
yeah, it was pretty great because even though Bowen really sprawled hard on that takedown, I mean, you could just tell that the 5-pound difference, the 5-pound weight advantage for, excuse me, for Huckbody is what really allowed him to just carry through with that takedown and eventually end up on top, move up the body, get the body lock, and really just, like I said, secure that takedown. And Bowen was pretty much helpless to do anything, which is pretty great. And then we had Anthony Romero versus Mike Breeden. This was a bit of a banger for me. Going into the first and second rounds, it was kind of one of those things where the obviously big deal leg kicks were huge in this fight, and really Romero was just able to completely take Breeden's legs out from under him. My favorite part about the whole fight was how Breeden never really seemed to just give up. He was fighting through
Kept
pretty much.
going.
Yeah, exactly. It was one of those situations where you look at it and you say to yourself, you've got a guy who is taking a lot of shots like this, but even though he's fighting a better fighter, he is still a fighter in and of himself. And you see him fight through so many of these strikes, so many of these punches, so many of these kicks. I mean, he was definitely absorbing a lot of damage, a lot of work. But he was still in the fight. He never once felt like he was out of the fight.
The one thing I was thinking of the whole time, I was like, how is he still moving forward while getting dismantled?
Yeah. Obviously, it goes all 3 rounds, and Romero gets the decision. This was actually a big deal. Pretty much everybody on the card tonight got UFC contracts except for Anthony Romero. And that kind of comes from the idea that Dana White believed that the guy his opponent Breeden had literally almost no legs to stand on, and yet Romero could not get the finish. And I would almost dare say that even in the 3rd round, when Breeden was still, barely able to walk, was still throwing out a very competitive fight and almost had Romero on the ropes at multiple times. Excuse me. And Romero still couldn't secure that finish. And as we all know, on the Contender series, if you have the opportunity to get the finish but you don't get it, it stings a little bit.
Comes back to bite you.
Exactly. So that was pretty rough for Romero being the only man on tonight's card to not get it. But then we had a pretty exciting flyweight bout between Jacob Silva and Jeffrey Malona. Molina, excuse me. And this one was one of those big, just huge adrenaline dumps right in the beginning. You know, Jacob Silva comes out swinging, comes out hard, banging, swinging for the fences. And then Molina, just very patient, calm, is able to be really technical and precise with his strikes, his kicks. Hopefully, I mean, he got dropped like at least 3 times in the first round, but pretty much after that, he was able to completely neutralize a lot of whatever it was Jacob Silva had for him. As you can see right here, he was getting a lot of big shots, like this big knee right here. Towards the end of the second round, he got a huge head kick that full shin to Silva's jaw and temple, created a huge gash on the side of his face. I don't think that this was it right here, but that's a pretty good picture of something of a kick resembling it, but it was pretty great overall. And it got to a point where, you know, we looked at what Silva was able to accomplish, and it reminded me a lot of Breeden. I mean, he's just out here taking all this abuse. I mean, he even got dropped in the first, and he got right back up. I mean, the guy's a true warrior, true legend right there. As you can see, I don't know if you can see it right here. See if I can increase the size of that real quick. That's the cut right there on the side of his face. It got pretty nasty.
Pretty deep.
Yeah. But he never stopped fighting the entire time, and that's what carried this whole fight to the decision. And I, myself, and Dana White also believe that the judges were wrong to not give Jacob Silva that third round, because that entire third round was Jacob Silva.
Very, very, very much agree. And I believe that if at any point they, like Dana White said, if they have a last-minute replacement, his name is going to be on top of the list.
Exactly. So I don't know if that necessarily means if that's just for the Contender Series or if there's possibly a spot.
Yeah, I would say in either one, a possible spot on a prelims if they need somebody. It's all possible at this time.
Yeah. So that's going to be great. But great for Molina. And then because we always need more action-packed flyweights, you know. We need to build that division up a little bit more.
Division needs.
Exactly. So then we move on to actually a pretty interesting story with Raphael Alves and Alejandro Flores. Rafael Alves being a fighter that's actually fought in front of Dana White before. I forget what the name of the promotion was, but Dana White came to the promotion one time and was watching the fights. Alves put on a show for him, and it's actually what got Alves a spot on the Contender Series and got Alves this position he needed, put him in the position he needed against a pretty great technical striker like Alejandro Flores. The fight was pretty competitive throughout the entire first round, but really it was Alves's amazing energy, amazing athleticism, and great jiu-jitsu that really won him this fight. I was really impressed with, I mean, I hate saying I was impressed with it, but for Alves to be able to walk into the octagon and perform at least 2, you know, jumping double backflips back to back, it kind of just showcases a guy who's got energy, you know. I mean, we don't want to see guys wasting that energy as soon as they do that, you know. Save that for after the fight. But and it looked like he almost broke his foot almost, you know, on the first attempt. But luckily nothing crazy happened there, and he was able to, as you can see right here, sync up a pretty significant guillotine, forcing Flores to shoot on him. You know, threw out a hook, left hook. Flores has to shoot in order to, you know, not sustain damage, but it ends up giving Alves exactly what he needed to be able to sync up this great, great guillotine. Brain fart there for a second, and he came out with a pretty successful win on top of that. Great finish, and definitely got that contract for sure. There was never a doubt in anybody's mind. And I mean, just look at this guy's physique for 145 pounds. You know, he's ripped for sure. And as you can see, he did this as well. As soon as he won, he brought out a fake contract to Dana White and a pen and asked him to sign it, which was pretty great. Unfortunately,
that's memeable immediately.
Exactly, 100%. See if they've updated any new pictures. There we go. So we had Jonathan Petit versus Jamie Pickett. This was actually the this was probably the most significant fight of the night, especially for our man Jamie Pickett. This is actually his third time.
Pulling the old third time's the charm trick on us.
Exactly. Pulling the I mean, really, when people say third time's a charm, I mean that's what it is. That's what it's like. Unfortunately, I mean, he has been on the Contender Series before. He was there on season 1. He was there on season 3. However, he lost both times. And that sucks. That sucks being the guy that loses twice. And usually for a lot of guys, after their third loss, that's it. Or I'm sorry, their second loss, that's it. It's rare in someone like Pickett's case to ever get that third chance. As you can see, he lost to Charles Byrd by submission in round number 1 of season 1 of the Contender Series, and then against Punahele Soriano in season 3, week 1. I even heard him actually call for a rematch against Punahele at the end of this contest, where he finished Jonathan Petit. As you can see right here, there was actually a couple of moments where Petit and his strength in football, his football background, working with UFC fighters like Jeff Neal, was really able to have a very competitive back and forth of the first round. As you can see right here, was able to get a huge double leg on Pickett, and almost, as you can see right here, was in a bit of a tight spot on this guillotine. It got so bad at one point where we can actually hear Petit gurgling, wheezing. But he eventually just fought his way out of it. I mean, that was pretty good work. Unfortunately, they still haven't. We're doing this immediately after, and they still haven't updated new pictures. Okay, here we go.
We're getting them as they come, bud.
Exactly. It's pretty
how
crazy.
Up to date we are this time.
Exactly. So, but as you can see, it was a great striking bout back and forth. The first, like I said, after the first round had ended, it was very competitive. But according to the cornermen, the coaches of Pickett, they basically said, "Hey, man, you've got what it takes. You can finish this fight. Go out there, finish this fight." So we basically opened with round 2 with what ended up being a 22-punch combo.
Goodness gracious, that's video game talk.
Exactly. That is Killer Instinct, ultra level combos. I mean, actually, add about 10 more punches, and you're at that level. But yeah, he's piecing him up. He's knocking his mouthpiece out. Excuse me, and it eventually gets to a point where he gets him off the fence, pounds him up again a little bit, and referee Mark Smith has no choice but to stop it. I mean, someone could maybe make the case that maybe he could have let them fight a little bit longer, but I mean, the guy was taking a lot of damage.
He was getting pounded, dude.
Yeah, his mouthpiece was knocked out. He got hit with a crazy knockdown. He fell with his back to his opponent, meaning that he was going to have himself left open to a lot more damage. So I think Mark Smith made a pretty professional call right there and said, well, you know what, you're done. And then Jamie Pickett was able to walk away with the victory on that. So that was really cool. That was really cool to see. That was really fun night overall. And it was really amazing to see someone like Jamie Pickett, who, according to his story, had almost given up at one point, had gotten to the point where he said to himself, is MMA a dead end? Is it a career worth pursuing? And it got to a point where he was letting himself go. He was gaining a little bit of weight. He was focusing even more on his truck driving job. And it got to a point where he literally was considering, maybe there's no point in this. There's no future in this. And then, almost like a fairy tale story, he wakes up the morning. He gets the text from his coach. Say, hey, give us a call. He calls them. They say, hey, Contender Series is calling, man. Do you want that third fight? Do you want another chance on Contender Series? And like a genius, he says yes. There's no way you're not going to take
Makes
that
the dream
opportunity.
happen.
Exactly. And the crazy thing about it is that within each of his fights we've seen on the Contender Series now, he has looked so sharp and so technical that I don't want to say anything negative about Jonathan Petit, but at 6-3, a little bit greener of a fighter as opposed to the then 10-4 Pickett. It almost seemed like they were giving him a little bit of leeway, giving him what was almost seemingly like a very favorable matchup for Pickett. Not putting
But
down
also his 2 losses means that they would probably not put him against somebody very skilled at the same time.
exactly, because then it's like at that point it's like, well, I mean, I think they understand his worth. I mean, they called him back for the third time. I think in many ways, even the Contender Series executives kind of knew the potential of Pickett, and they know that he just had to evolve more as a fighter in order to take that next level and take that next step. Whereas I think someone like Jonathan Petit is still at a level where he needs to evolve just a little bit more.
Of
He's got the
course.
strength, he's got the power, and he's got good hands for sure. Um, but I think it comes down to sharpening that stuff up, and really taking it just one step higher, getting climbing the ladder a little bit. Um, but yeah, so great for Jamie Pickett. I can't wait for next week. Um, also in Contender Series news, past week alumni from the Contender Series, Impa Kasanganai. There you go, Kasanganai.
There.
Is going to be competing this Saturday at UFC Fight Night with Alexander Ratchik and Anthony Smith. So yeah, so we finally got some of these guys just out there already, man. Already out
Already they're
there.
hungry. That's what I'm saying. In 2020 in the UFC, you have to be hungry.
Exactly. So yeah, so that's pretty much going to be it from us tonight, guys. Unless Lincoln has any other thoughts, I really don't have any
No,
other thoughts.
sir.
Yeah, it was pretty great. So make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you think in the comments below. How was this episode of the Contender Series, guys? And are you excited for next week's Contender Series? I know I am. I know Lincoln is. And I know I can't wait to see you guys next time. So definitely check you guys later. Peace.
Bye.